The Western Pacific churned out yet another tempest in the form of Typhoon Yagi. Millions across Southeast Asia watched with dread as the storm gathered strength. The world held its breath as the storm made landfall, bringing torrential rains and howling winds. Entire villages were submerged, forcing inhabitants to flee. Amidst the chaos, stories of courage and resilience emerged. The human spirit endured, offering hope amidst the storm's aftermath. Forming as a tropical depression east of the Philippines, Yagi quickly intensified, fueled by the warm waters of the Pacific Ocean. Meteorologists tracked its every move, their forecasts growing increasingly dire as the storm gained strength. Yagi followed a familiar path, one etched in the collective memory of Southeast Asia, a region all too familiar with the destructive power of typhoons. First, it grazed the northernmost islands of the Philippines, bringing heavy rains and strong winds but sparing the nation from a direct hit. However, the respite was short-lived. Yagi, now a full-fledged typhoon, set its sights on Vietnam, its eye locked on the country's densely populated northern coastline. The storm's trajectory was alarming. It was on a direct collision course with the heart of Vietnam's rice-producing region, an area vital to the country's economy and food security. The Vietnamese government issued urgent evacuation orders, mobilizing its military and disaster relief agencies in anticipation of Yagi's landfall. The storm made landfall with terrifying force, bringing with it winds exceeding 100 miles per hour. Coastal communities bore the brunt of Yagi's fury, battered by storm surges that swallowed entire villages. Rivers, swollen by the torrential rainfall, overflowed their banks, turning once fertile fields into vast inland seas. The iconic rice paddies of northern Vietnam, usually a vibrant green, were transformed into a muddy brown expanse. The storm's impact on the country's agricultural heartland was devastating, threatening the livelihoods of millions of farmers who relied on the land for their survival. The human cost of the disaster was also mounting. Reports of casualties trickled in from remote areas cut off by the floods, painting a grim picture of the storm's toll. Yet even as the floodwaters rose, stories of incredible human resilience and compassion began to surface. Vietnamese soldiers, many of whom had families of their own in harm's way, worked tirelessly to rescue stranded residents, using boats and helicopters to reach those trapped by the rising waters. Volunteers, both local and international, poured into the affected areas, bringing with them food, water, and medical supplies. China braces holding the line against the deluge. After battering Vietnam, the remnants of Typhoon Yagi, now downgraded to a tropical storm, continued their westward trek, bringing heavy rains and the threat of flooding to southern China. Chinese authorities, well aware of the potential for disaster, took no chances. Millions were evacuated from low-lying areas, and emergency response teams were deployed to reinforce dams and levees. The storm, though significantly weakened, still posed a serious threat, particularly to China's heavily populated coastal cities. The Pearl River Delta, home to major industrial centers like Guangzhou and Shenzhen, was placed on high alert. These cities, economic powerhouses vital to China's global supply chains, faced the prospect of severe disruption if the storm's rains overwhelmed their flood defenses. The Chinese government, drawing on its experience in dealing with natural disasters, mounted a massive mobilization effort, deploying troops, engineers, and volunteers to mitigate the storm's impact. Philippines endures, a familiar foe returns. Even as Vietnam and China grappled with the immediate aftermath of Typhoon Yagi, the Philippines, a nation all too familiar with the destructive power of nature, found itself once again in the storm's path. Yagi, having weakened after its passage over mainland Southeast Asia, re-intensified over the warm waters of the South China Sea, regaining typhoon strength as it churned towards the Philippine archipelago. The storm's projected path was a cause for serious concern, threatening to bring its fury to the densely populated island of Luzon, home to the capital city of Manila. Philippine authorities issued typhoon warnings, urging residents in vulnerable areas to seek shelter and prepare for the worst. Schools and businesses were closed, and transportation services were suspended as the nation braced for Yagi's arrival. Memories of past typhoons, particularly the devastation caused by Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013, loomed large in the minds of many Filipinos. The nation, scarred by previous encounters with nature's wrath, faced the prospect of yet another grueling test of its resilience. Hope amidst the ruins, a call for unity and support. In the wake of Typhoon Yagi, the international community responded with an outpouring of support and aid. Governments, NGOs, and individuals mobilized to assist millions affected by the storm. Humanitarian aid poured into the disaster zones. Medical teams provided emergency care to the injured. The road to recovery is long, but support offers hope amidst devastation. The resilience of the human spirit shines through.